I'm 39, male, and lost my wife and unborn son 8 years ago. She was hit by a drunk driver while walking home from work. I was devastated and couldn't even get out of bed for a long time. After years of therapy, I'm better now. I had a vasectomy a year after my wife's passing because I never wanted or want to be a father. Then I met Melissa, 35, female, 2 years ago through her sister, my coworker. On our first date, I told her everything, including the fact that I had a vasectomy and would never change my mind about not wanting to be a dad. She said she had no interest in becoming a mom either. We eloped 6 months ago. Recently, Melissa's sister gave birth to twins. I'm happy for her and, of course, do my best to be a good uncle. However, since then, my wife has been nagging me, saying I'm selfish and should get my vasectomy reversed so we can do IVF and have babies too. I reminded her that I was clear from the start. I don't want to be a father. Now she's calling me a jerk, saying I made this stupid decision when I was grieving and that I should compromise by having just one child. She wants two. I want one. She says I got my late wife pregnant, so it's very selfish of me not giving her a baby. Am I an a-hole for not compromising? No. OP, plain and simple. No, you are not an a-hole. I am so sorry for what you went through with your first wife. That must have been devastating. Again, so sorry for your loss. Now, regarding Melissa's demand, I understand people compromising between having 1, 2, or 3 children. But that's because they're both on the same boat of wanting to be parents. On your case, you don't want to be a father. You do not compromise having children, or the number of children, between 0 to 1. Now, of course, she is absolutely in her right to change her mind regarding being child-free or not, and you have absolutely every right not to. This is something that would make the marriage incompatible. So, if I was in your shoes, I would sit down with her and ask her about the future of our marriage because it doesn't seem you guys want to go the same route. Additionally, I have to say, I don't really like the tone she's taking with you by calling you stupid or selfish. So, during that conversation, I would encourage her to at least be respectful and hear you out. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Canadian Sainin K says, not the a-hole. She doesn't seem like a good partner, to be honest. Bringing up your grief and throwing it in your face to try and get what she wants is so immature. I would probably divorce her and spend my money on therapy. It sounds like you've entered a toxic relationship for one reason or another, and it may be from unprocessed grief or trying to move on too soon and committing to compensate for time lost. It's okay to be in pain still. It's okay to visit the grave of your wife openly and regularly. Once a month is completely reasonable. Find a partner who doesn't shame you for your grief and even supports you. It's important to live for the living, but that includes yourself, even if you believe otherwise. No one wants to see you sad and wrapped in a toxic relationship, both those alive and past. Op responds, I agreed on going on a date just to stop my family from pushing me. I even told Melissa right away that the only reason I agreed to this date is because I wanted to shut my family up. She laughed and said her sister had been nagging a lot to her about meeting people. We ended up talking for a long time. She was the only person I went on a date with after my late wife. I'm sure if I mention divorce, my whole family will gang up on me, saying I'm a fool, since they love Melissa and would be thrilled if we gave her a grandkid. KE Sports says, not the a-hole role, you were clear from the beginning. She agreed with you and has changed her mind. I think it's okay for her to ask if you have changed your mind as well, but she knew what you wanted when she married you, and she shouldn't expect you to change. Nagging you and name-calling you isn't okay. It's actually quite immature. She needs to decide what's more important to her now, being married to you or having children. She can't have both, and she agreed to that also. If she really wants children, she should have them with someone else who genuinely wants children. Giving in to her isn't fair to you, to her, or to any potential future child. I'm sorry for the loss of your family. Op responds, I'm trying to be understanding and hoping it's the process of coming to terms with the decision she made when she married me, but I can't help but feeling guilty and doubting myself. Zaria Tersha says, how about this point of view? When someone loves their spouse so much that they don't want to just raise children, but want to enjoy all the colors of life and be only two without a third person? Having children is not the highest point of a relationship for many couples. It is an attempt to save them or occupy their time with something because they have nothing to do together. Remember Co from this point of view. It is Melissa who does not love Op enough since he is not enough for her smiley face. In Op response, I read this comment out loud many times. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I will talk to her as soon as she comes home and end it. She wants to be a mother. I won't get in her way. We are not meant for each other. Additional information from Op's comments. I don't hate kids at all. I just don't want to have a biological kid. She thinks I'm being unfair because I had a baby with my late wife. Melissa believes my vasectomy was a stupid decision that I made while I was grieving. Life has turned upside down since my sister-in-law's twins were born. My wife constantly brings up my late wife and how I'm unfair to her. How I got her pregnant. And you don't love me enough like you did your stupid first wife, she says. There were never issues. I'm not going to lie. I was hurt. I still visit my late wife's grave secretly at least once a month. It's more like talking to a therapist. I know it sounds weird, but it helps me. I've told her how I was hurt and miss her, even more so today. If life was fair, we would be walking our son to school this morning. It's back to school day in Canada. Instead of me crying inside and wondering how he would look like today, Melissa suggested using sperm donors and IVF. She wants the whole pregnancy experience. I really don't want to raise a kid. I don't want to be a father. She got so upset. I'd rather live child-free and stay single than be married and raise a baby, I said. I know this makes me a giant jerk, but I'm going to be 40. I made up my mind. Still, Melissa said she doesn't want a divorce. I'm not making her stay. She wants me to change and gets furious when I say I won't. She says hurtful things, which I know she doesn't mean. This morning, she called me an effing idiot because I refuse and don't want a child. It's been 8 years, effing get over yourself, she said. I just try to be quiet and to be understanding, but I love Melissa. I love her with my whole heart. I will forever love my late wife. Also, I don't bring up her name. There is no picture of her in our house. I don't talk about her at all. I don't want Melissa to feel self-conscious. When I met Melissa, she said she wanted to get married someday. I told her I never saw myself getting married again. But if that's what she wants, I'm open to it. She suggested a long-term commitment, and I love the idea of not having a big wedding. Honestly, with my late wife, I wanted a family. With my current wife, I want companionship. 2 different versions of love. I even told her that, alright, well, the community agrees that Opie is not the a-hole and that he should probably just talk to his wife regarding the future and how to move on with divorce. But apparently, Melissa really doesn't want that, and she really gets furious with Opie when he just stands his ground. The way she's treating Opie, I think, is absolutely uncalled for. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I'm out for a walk right now because we had a big argument and I needed to cool down. I had a calm discussion with Melissa where I reiterated that I've been upfront with her from the beginning. I decided to have a vasectomy because I never want to be a father. This wasn't an impulsive decision, and I will never change my mind. I shared with her that the first time I stepped into my son's nursery after the accident, I had a complete breakdown. Everything was ready. My late wife was 2 days past her due date. Everything was there except them. To this day, I feel sick looking at a nursery. I told her that if she really wants to have a baby, I will leave peacefully. We can have an amicable divorce, and she can find someone who shares her dreams. She rolled her eyes and asked, "How long are you planning to use this trauma card? Why can't you be a man and effing move on?" I told her my mind was made up and that divorce is our only option. She became furious, said she would make my life miserable during the divorce process, called me an infertile limp penis, and said I was pathetic for not getting over some dead wife. Wow, that's despicable. I left the house for a walk. On her Instagram stories, she posted a picture of an annoyed Cillian Murphy with the caption, "When you want to be treated like a princess, but it's 2024, and your man acts like a princess. Currently, my life?" I texted my coworker to see if I can book an appointment with his wife, who is a divorce lawyer. "Thank you again for all your kind help." Wow, Op, your future ex-wife, as I said under my breath. There is absolutely despicable. I truly hope it's incredibly difficult for her to make your life miserable during the divorce. The good thing is that you don't have children, so apart from assets, you should be free. What a horrible person this is, that she can't respect your trauma, mocks you for it, victimizes herself online for it, and then threatens to make your life miserable. Honestly, I hope for you that you can be rid of this person as soon as possible. And to that regard, I wouldn't talk to her personally ever again. Everything must be through email, text, and through your lawyers. That way, you can use anything she says in anger against her and be free of that monster quickly. Take care, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece that I will not pay for a $5,000 wedding dress when her and her boyfriend have lived together for 10 years and have 3 kids? A little background. My husband's niece lost her parents when she was almost 11. She lived part of the year with us and part of the year with grandparents from her dad's side. One day, not long after the funeral, she came out of the blue saying she will not have anyone to take her wedding dress shopping or buy her one when she grows up. I told her not to worry, that between Grandma J and us, she won't be alone and will have a pretty dress. Of course, when she graduated high school, she said she was never going to get married. She then met her boyfriend in college, they moved in together, and when she became pregnant, she quit school. This, of course, disappointed her grandparents, and even more so after she told them they were not getting married just because of a baby. Speed up 10 years and 2 more children. She and her boyfriend come over and announce they are finally going to get married. I at first thought of a courthouse thing, or even an intimate family gathering. She then came right out and said, "Do you remember when I was 11 or so, right after Mom and Dad died? You said between you and Grandma, we'd find me a dress." I replied yes. She then showed me 2 dresses from a magazine. One was around $7,500, and the other one was $4,960. She then said we could get her one of those too. She then said that since her grandmother was also gone, if I was also willing to help with not just the dress but some of their $29,000 other costs. I told her that when I said I would help, it meant go with you to find one and contribute, but also it was assuming you were not playing married for 10 years before deciding on getting married. I am not against you having a wedding after all this time, but you have had so many years to save up, as well as having pretty much been living like a married couple. Something simple would be more appropriate. So, I offered to take her to a local bridal salon and put up to $1,500 towards a wedding dress. I even brought up their site and showed her all the dresses they had, which all but 2 were under $1,600. I also reminded her that the money she had from her parents' trust, which was set aside for college and wedding, she used to buy her boyfriend a car. She got mad and said her kids will hate her for not having one of those dresses. The kids are 9 and 6, and 2 have not heard from her since. We are on Social Security and barely make it now. I know things cost more these days, but I have seen many dresses even less than what I offered. I feel that she should have saved, whether on their own or her inheritance. Am I wrong for not helping fund the wedding after all these years? No, because it's not that you're saying you will not support her. You are going to support her within your means, within the capability that you have at the moment. Unfortunately, that does not match her expectations, but that's her problem, not a you problem. You even showed her ways in which buying her a dress could fit within the budget that you have, which is already tight, considering your own Social Security. And also, you're absolutely right. She's had a long time to be able to save. Yeah, even though she's got kids, and kids are not cheap. 10 years, come on. So, no, you're not the a-hole. You're not moving the goalpost or anything. You offered her a dress or to help her out, but she wants $35,000 or more if she can have it. So, no, what do you guys think? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comments section. And now, let's check out the community comments. Harry Lover 2020 says, she's acting incredibly entitled. The duration of their relationship should have no bearing on what you spend on her dress. $5,000 is way too much, especially with you on Social Security. That would be incredibly irresponsible for you to spend that much. Do you really think her kids will give a rat's ass what dress she wears? Neop Pink says, not the a-hole, your niece is immature, entitled, and delusional. How delusional is she to think that you can afford thousands of dollars for a dress and her wedding when you're on Social Security? It seems like your niece has a long history of making foolish, life-sabotaging decisions. She thinks she is entitled to a wedding she can't afford. She isn't pathetic that she said her young children would hate her for not having a $75,000 dress. She sounds like a spoiled preteen having a tantrum over not getting everything she wants. Not the a-hole and amazing reality. Cabo says, not the a-hole till her she gets $1,500, and if she wants a fancier dress, she'll have to cover the rest. She's being ridiculous and seems to think she's entitled to make you pay whatever she demands. Most parents who offer to help also set a budget. Most brides are not giving unrestricted funds for a wedding. My daughter went to a consignment shop and bought an $8,800 dress for $800, and it was beautiful. Nobody knew the difference. Additional information from Ops comments has been surfacing for years. They said they were not getting married after college, but now it seems he is doing okay. They even have a house in some states where they would consider them being common law already. I just couldn't believe it when she mentioned $5,000. However, a lady from my church had a hunch about where she got this big idea. Even after living together for so long, she thought she should have this big deal. My church friend told me I needed to watch a program called Say Yes to the Dress. I did, and I was watching these ladies pick out $70,000 dresses for even wedding renewals. Many of these others were getting $5,000 or more dresses, one for the ceremony and one for the reception. They were having weddings in the hundreds of thousands. On top of that, I was reading one of the bridal guide magazines she left behind. This bridal consultant put that you should spend no less than 1 month of your income on the wedding dress. So, the community agrees that Op is not alone, and that the need is just dreaming way too big for what she can accomplish. Asking so much from Op is not right. Let's now move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thanks for all the responses, both good and bad. My husband ran into her boyfriend, Mike, at the gas station. He asked him about this wedding and her demands. Mike said they were pretty content with the way things were because they considered themselves soulmates all these years, minus the certificate. What happened was that their oldest child was getting teased that their mom and dad were not married. So they were not a real mommy and daddy. Even though they tried to assure her and spoke with the school and the bully's parents, their daughter was crushed. They then discussed going to the courthouse and getting married, so they would have the paper. She then thought, after some program, that they could have a nice wedding. Mike suggested just getting the kids dressed up, and she could get a nice white dress, nothing too much. He doesn't exactly know what, but all of a sudden, she was talking to a wedding planner person. The two little girls found dresses for mom in a magazine. He told her he was not putting that much into clothes for less than a couple of hours being worn. Then, a friend from high school visited them and told her how much was gotten from the sale of her parents' house. Her dad was the agent. From then on, she was obsessed with thinking she had more coming to her. My husband explained it to him. He felt horrible. I guess yes, he said. I appreciated the offer, but she was no longer our responsibility. She is his. I feel a bit better. Well, it sucks that your niece's daughter was getting bullied, of course, and I understand why your niece wanted to mend things, because kids don't necessarily understand all these things. But good on Mike. He's absolutely aware of everything, and he's going to do something about it. So on that note, thanks so much for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's story.